10 things you need to be aware of when moving from Texas to Hawaii. And you won't guess all of them, I promise you that. Starting with the least important, but also very important at the same time. Number 1, climate, weather. We have a rainy season and a dry season, and depending on which side of the island you live on, east side is the windward side, or known as the rainy side, and west side, Wainaiava Beach, is the dry side of the island. Depending where you are, it's either going to rain every single day, like Kaneohe, Kailua, Manoa, or if you're in Ewa Beach or Waianae, you're lucky if it rains once or twice a month, sometimes depending on the season. Very different than Texas, where if you look at this map, if you're more on the east side, you're gonna be seeing a lot more rain compared to if you're on the west side. Very, very important distinction. Side note, 5 years ago, during the winter, I believe we had 30 days of non-stop rain. There was massive flooding. 0 out of 10, don't recommend that. Second thing you need to be aware of, cost of living. I've spent a fair amount of time in Texas and 10 years in Hawaii. Every time I go to the mainland, I am shocked at how cheap things are. Everything from food, cost of gas, living, even if you're in Austin or Dallas, the most populated suburbs where everything tends to be a lot higher, everything by comparison is extremely cheap compared to living on Oahu. If you live on Big Island, Kauai, or Maui, or Molokai, things might be even more. So really factor in, there's a reason that our military BAH housing allowance is 2 to 4 times most other places on the mainland, sometimes more. Really make sure that you're budgeting probably an extra 30 to 40%. Everything costs more living here. You're gonna buy a gallon of milk for, this says $5.98. I wouldn't be surprised if it's $8 or $9. Eggs, cheese, gasoline, it's way more expensive. You cannot go out to eat at a restaurant without spending a minimum of $30 per person. That's excluding tip. Last thing to be aware of, not only are groceries and gas high, but cost of utilities. Our price per kilowatt hour is anywhere from 32 to 50 cents per kilowatt hour, depending on when and where you're buying it from. On the mainland, what is it, like 5, 8, 9 cents? I know a lot of people that have electric bills that are between $500 to $800 per month. That's why finding or looking at properties or buying a house that has solar is such an advantage. One word, DINK. Dual income, no kids. All of my clients that tell me that they're living that life are extraordinarily happy with it. The median cost in Hawaii is $72,000. However, in order to live the same lifestyle that you might live in Texas, you're probably looking at needing to earn $195,000 of income annually. This is one of the major downsides and why so many people leave this state is because of the cost of living and the job market here. Although you might be making more money than say on the mainland, that money doesn't get you as far. There is one catch to this though, the lifestyle. It is so different than living anywhere else, and I'm gonna get to that in the culture in a little bit, but understand that a lot of the things that you probably spend money on in the mainland, hobbies and activities, are free here. Surfing, hiking, being outdoors, most of these things don't cost you any money at all, whereas you're a lot less likely to do any of that in Texas, especially surfing. Like, what do you guys have, one wave pool? It's pretty cool. The lowest price you're going to get a single family home for is around $600,000 to $700,000 if it's move-in ready. Most of the homes are gonna be closer to about $1,050,000 all the way up to about 1.5. If you're trying to buy a home that's comparable to some of the properties you're gonna buy in Texas, you would have to spend between 1.5 to about $4 million for the same home that you would get in Texas. If you're looking at renting a property, a good rule of thumb is that every bedroom will cost you between $800 to $1,500. So that means a 2-bedroom property will rent for between $2,000, maybe up to $3,000, depending on what you're looking for. If you're looking at something even nicer with extra parking, you could be close to $4,500 or $6,000 every month for a 2 or a 3-bedroom place. Now, there are a lot of options if you're looking to pay less, if you want to spend $700, $800, but understand that you might be a lot further away from town, you might not have convenient access, and you might not have parking, which is a major hurdle for a lot of people. I want to explain all of the different neighborhoods of Oahu, or at least the general gist. First, we'll start with Waikiki. This is the most tourist visited area. They have a ton of hotels. They have nightlife, bars, clubs, many restaurants. Prices are gonna be a lot higher than even outside of Waikiki. Grocery stores are much smaller and there's limited parking. Condos in this area will range anywhere from $400,000 up to $2 or $3 million, depending on where you're looking to purchase. Rentals, you're gonna probably spend closer to $1,000 to $1,500 per bedroom to rent in this area. You do, however, have a lot of great food options and a lot of nice beaches. Outside of Waikiki, you have what's referred to as town. And town is a really big area ranging from Kaimuki on the east side all the way to kind of Chinatown. And in between there, you have Ala Moana, you have Kaka'ako. These are more metropolitan areas with nightclubs and restaurants. But then you also have a lot of smaller communities where you have single family homes and smaller mom and pop shops. That would be places like Kaimuki. Beautiful, gorgeous area, sits atop right next to Diamond Head. Amazing parks. You have Manoa, which is one of the most prestigious neighborhoods and has a really popular elementary school. Also has the University of Hawaii, so you get a lot of students that live in this area. You have Pololo, which has a lot of amazing older style homes, but also has a lot of great parks. And then what's interesting about town is we have this mountain range where it goes ridges at the top, and then you have valleys in between the valleys of the mountain. Living in town in this area, you're always 10 minutes at the most from most of the beaches or shopping. Ala Moana has, if not the largest outdoor shopping mall in the area. This is where most traffic is going to be in these areas. Now, we also have downtown and Chinatown. These have more traffic than anywhere else. Downtown has mostly office buildings, a lot of high-rise condos, and a few amount of restaurants. And then Chinatown has a lot of more smaller style restaurants and bars, which is really popular. Chinatown has something called First Fridays where they'll actually shut down the streets, all the bars open up and the restaurants, and you walk around. It's a really fun thing to do, and they do it on the first Friday of every month. That would describe the majority of what's known as South Shore, from Kaimuki to Waikiki to Chinatown area. Now, if we go head more east, now over on the southeast, you have an area called Hawaii Kai. Much more suburban, much newer, surrounds a lagoon, has a lot of amazing shopping, things like Costco, different types of restaurants, you have a boat harbor, all the way to a place called Cocoa Head, which has great hiking, it has an amazing view. And then going past that, you're gonna come across a place called Hanama Bay, Sandy's Beach, and then all the way through over Makapu'u. On the east side, on the windward side of the island, you have Kailua and Kaneohe. Kailua and Lanikai are two of the most expensive neighborhoods on island. Kaneohe, which is right outside of the Marine Corps base of Hawaii. So in this area, you get a lot of people that work on the Marine Corps base. You get a lot of Marines and military that live in the area. And you also have a lot of what are called plantation style homes. And a plantation style home is just a thin wall with usually what's referred to as jalousie windows. If I had to describe it, it would be chic, cozy. It's very much a surf town feel. Then continuing up, you have really what's known as North Shore, which is from Laie, Kahuku, all the way over to where Turtle Bay is at the very far north, down over to Haleiwa and Waialua. You have a lot of locals and a lot of residents live up there. You also get a lot of surfers, you get surf competitions, you get the Pipeline, you get the Masters, you get the Triple Crown. All of these are very famous surf events and competitions. And then you also have Waimea Bay, which is just a gorgeous spot to view and see the waves, and check it out, you'll love it. Now, if we go to the central part of the island, you'll have Wahiawa and Mililani. And Wahiawa has Schofield Barracks, which is one of the largest barracks and military bases here on island. Mililani, which is a newer developed area, developed by Castle and Cook, I believe. This has a lot of newer homes, and prices there are also a little bit higher because of that. Going on over, now you have what's referred to as West Side, which is Ewa Beach, Kapolei, Makakilo, and you get a lot of military people that live in this area. And then you also have Waianae, which is the furthest distance from town, and you get a lot of really amazing homes, a lot of amazing beaches and hiking, but you also get a lot of traffic because there's only one way to get in and out of Waianae. Lastly, you have a place called Ko'olina, which has Disney Aulani Resorts. It's a newer development. They have a golf course, a ton of different hotels, shops, restaurants, the whole thing. They also have a ton of speed bumps, so if you go there, you're gonna hit a speed bump every 3 seconds. Remove the speed bumps! Just kidding, they're probably fine. Hawaii has a pretty average public education system, and what I've found is it's less important about the school and it's more important about the teacher that your student has at the school. And I've seen some teachers and have heard that they're amazing and some not as much. Unfortunately, Hawaii doesn't have a huge budget for public education, so a lot of people decide to send their kids to private school. And we have a ton of private schools on island. Some private schools are only $1,100 a year. Yes, really, all the way up to $55,000 for private school, which Punahou, which is also where former President Barack Obama went to school. Healthcare is a major concern for some, and it's important to know that being on an isolated island, we do have limited healthcare abilities. Now, for your average person, this is fine. We have everything you need, but I do know a lot of people that have needed specialty treatments that we did not have here, and they had to relocate. Make sure to consider that if you're moving out here. For the most part, almost everybody in Hawaii does have healthcare because it is mandated that if you work for more than 20 hours, your job has to provide you the healthcare. UHA and Kaiser are two of the larger healthcare providers that almost always your job will provide to you. Transportation. Hawaii has amazing public transportation. First, we have the bus, which don't hate on it. Some people love it, and I think it's amazing. It can get you pretty much anywhere you need to go, all the major hotspots. Some of the lines are 24/7. Most of them run until you would realistically ever need to get on it. Otherwise, we have Uber, we have Lyft, and if you're bringing your car out here, you're looking at a minimum of about $1,500, $1,600 to ship a car to or from Hawaii, so make sure to keep that in mind. Also, highly recommend that if you're bringing your car here, bring a smaller car. If you have a really large pickup or a really large van, SUV, you're gonna have a bit of a challenging time with, just everything. Our roads are smaller, our parking stalls are smaller, our world is just smaller, so I highly recommend you keep that in mind. Lifestyle and culture, one of the best things. Here's the deal. You're gonna spend a lot of money to live here. It's just the way of life. It's expensive to get everything to this tiny little island. However, once your basic needs are met, I will tell you this. The people here are friendlier than any place I've been in the world. If you treat them with respect, they will treat you with respect. If you show care for the land, people will appreciate that about you. If your hobbies involve being outdoors, if they involve exercise, you will fit in so well here. Surfing, kayaking, paddling, climbing, hiking. We have an amazing assortment of different activities that keep you healthy. The best part is most of them are free. It is one of the best places to live because you have a large city. And with large cities come opportunity, it comes people, it comes jobs. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like this huge metropolis. It doesn't feel like New York or LA. It really does feel like a small town. You might go out, you might see 2 or 3 people you know, which is surprising because we have an island of 1 million people. And I think it's important to address, I've heard some concerns about some people not feeling welcome in Hawaii or some people feeling like they don't fit in here. One, I've never had that feeling once in over 10 years of living here. And 2, if you're showing people respect, if you're doing the right things, you will not have that problem. We do, however, have some crazy homeless people. It comes with the territory, but even then, I've never had an issue with it. So here's what you need to know if you are planning to relocate. You're really looking to spend, number 1, on your car, probably a minimum of $1,600 to get your car here, and that's gonna take about 30 days. Number 2, the cost of transportation to get your pets out here, you're looking at $250 up to $1,000, potentially more, because you have to make sure that you're following certain guidelines, certain quarantines for your animals. It can be a lengthy process, so get started on that ahead of time. And then moving your things out, depending if you're shipping an entire container or if you're just bringing a suitcase, you could be looking at from thousands of dollars to tens of thousands of dollars, depending on how much of a household that you're trying to bring. I do recommend to everybody that comes out here, they try and downsize much more than you think. I've had clients come out with a 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom household of goods, and they had to give away or sell 30, 40, 70% of the things they own, and it's a lot harder to sell it when you have such a limited population to sell it to. If you have questions about moving to Hawaii or what it takes to get into real estate out here, reach out to us. We can answer any of those that you may have. And if you want access to this PowerPoint and write-up, click the link in description. And my 2 favorite things to do in Hawaii before you go. Number 1, there's a place called Off the Hook Poke, which is in Manoa, favorite restaurant by all time. Number 2, I love the indoor rock climbing gym called High Climb. Check it out. Aloha.